Hi, everybody. Mark Victor Hansen here, and I am excited today to talk to you about a great book called Off Market: The Absurdity of Real Estate by my colleague and friend Yvonne, and she just uses M as her last name. But you've got to see this before it'll be in your phone if you go to markvictorhansenlibrary.com. But it's such a cute black and white cover, which just has power, poignance, and she's going to explain why she did all that. Yvonne, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks so much.
So give everybody a little backdrop, a couple paragraphs on your life story, if you don't mind, before we get going. Full
Sure,
blast of the book.
absolutely. So I've been in the real estate industry for about 8 years now, and it's also service. And so we run into a few interesting characters or colleagues or potential clients. And I felt that this story needed to be told because it really isn't all that it's glammed up to be on some of these reality shows that are very popular right now. So it was nice to kind of put everything out on paper, and I hope, so far so good. I've had lots of great feedback, and people are enjoying the stories because it's very relatable.
So what is the biggest absurdity in real estate?
Oh, I don't think we have enough time for that. Uh, Great question. I guess the biggest absurdity is what you feel your budget will get you nowadays, especially with the mortgage rates being what they are. So it is, I think that's probably one of the most common ones right now. So what you can actually buy for the money that you have.
So let me segment that in a couple different segments because I've been in real estate for 50 years and love it. And obviously I came in when it was really cheap. I mean, the first house I ever bought, as I think you've heard me say, was back in 1974, and I bought a $14,000 home for $2,000 down. And the only mistake I made is I should have bought all East Islip, Long Island, New York, because today each of those $14,000 rec homes is probably worth 350 or 400 or $500,000. I haven't gone back, so I can't be sure. So,
Yeah.
so let's segment it. First of all, tell us what you think is going to happen. Look at your crystal ball and what is going to happen with mortgage rates, because you've got the chairman of the Fed yesterday saying he's going to cut it 4 times next year, but I've never believed him before. So.
Right. Well, it's funny because I do have a crystal ball here. So let me just ask it.
By the way, I please do. I want to hear this. I'm ready to take notes.
Well, I think, when they meet in September, which is in a couple weeks, I believe it's just going to be a quarter rate. And next year, I'm hoping it could go a full point. But again, we don't really know till it happens. It's also an election year. NAR, the National Association of Realtors, they also have the new rules about buyer compensation not being paid by the seller. So there's a lot of variables in the market as of right now. So luckily I was able to mention a little bit of that in the book, even though it's already been to print. So that's kind of my prediction. I'm hoping it will go down a point, but buyers are kind of what I'm noticing. And of course, the market's different in every state. I'm in Arizona. And so I'm noticing that buyers might be holding off just a little bit before they rush the market because they're waiting on that rate cut and also what's going to happen with the election.
So let's talk. By the way, you got all this stuff, and all of it has some levels of. If I am too immodest, you can stop me, but all of it is absurd. So if interest rate dives 1 point, sales will go skyrockets because a lot of people are holding the reins of
lots of demand.
The pent-up demand, especially here in Arizona, because we're becoming the data center capital of the world, and it's a nice place, and it's a little bit more sane than some other places in the world at the moment. It's one of those sane states. So what happens if it comes down? And by the way, let me preface that by saying the reason there are other prognosticators saying it's going to go down 1% now is because of what you just said, the election. If it comes down 1%, everyone's going to think, oh my gosh, those guys in Washington are genius.
Amazing. Yes.
So talk,
Nothing, no problems at all. Let's just buy everything.
yeah, and if it comes down,
Getting a
one,
good deal.
the assumption is it's going to go back to 4 or 3 or 2, or it'll go all the way to Japan, which is at 0%, as you may or may not know.
I did not know that. I'm
Well,
not looking in Japan for anybody at this time, but I might have to check it out.
yeah, well, I don't know how the banks can stay alive at 0, but
Right.
and I'll just do I want you to do. You got the crystal ball, not me. But my assumption is that we're never going to 0. We may go back to 4, but I don't think we could go lower than that. Do you?
I don't think so. But the thing is that some sellers are open to doing concessions. So they might be willing to buy down a point for buyers right now. But once we get into those multiple offer situations, that's probably going to be off the table. But again, every home is completely different. So work with a great agent that can negotiate for you, and hopefully you can buy down your rate and be in a 4.
So, because you are a great agent, what makes a great agent so they know what to look for if they, assuming they're in another state, if they're in this state, then of course they call you.
Lots of communication is key. Even if you have nothing to report, you want to touch base all the time. You want to know what's going on. Make sure that agent is connected to amazing vendors, like they have a full list of lenders you could use, or inspectors, any kind of cleaning company, stuff like that. It just kind of helps, especially if you're new in town, you're not sure, where to go or who to use for certain things. It's kind of comes in handy. But the number one thing is obviously negotiation. With this new lawsuit, I feel like the commission is kind of coming in the forefront, and it's not really about the client as much, which is unfortunate. Because we're talking to buyers like, okay, you have to pay me this, and then I can show you that house. And it's just, I don't know, it's just I've never done the buyer brokers before in the past, working with clients. But it is something that you have to discuss. So you definitely want a negotiator, someone that has experience and that can protect you from potential legal things down the road, and just be very thorough and detailed and on time.
Okay, so let's talk about what the problem is that you just mentioned, that most people, no offense intended, but because there's no national news now. When I grew up, there was 3 stations, ABC, NBC, and CBS. Today,
Right.
there's 500 stations or 5,000, whatever the real number is, I don't know.
And social media, that's where I get my news.
What
Instagram.
media?
I get my news from Instagram.
There you go. Yeah, so it comes in an instant. You got 30 seconds to make a decision. So explain what the situation was, who got sued, and how that affects all realtors, not only you, but everybody.
To be honest, I don't even want to talk about it, because I don't want to get sued for saying the wrong thing. But basically, a homeowner felt there was some sort of price fixing and it was unfair. And so he basically sued the National Association of Realtors. And so basically we're doing business a completely different way now. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. I don't want to get involved. I'm just, pivoting, doing what we need to do, get the right paperwork in place, and continue on with life.
That's right. Dr. Agent. Okay, so why are your favorite colors black and white, and you almost wear black all the time? I mean,
I'm always in black. It's just easy, and I don't live in the gray area. Everything is black and white for me, and I also am a musician, DJ, and my stage name is Yvonne Black, and so I've been using this name for over 20 years, and it's just a part of my life. So,
and where do you DJ?
I play some private events, but I also play at Toca Madera locally in Scottsdale. And then I also play at Global Thea sometimes. And yeah, it's been good. But I played most of my career in Los Angeles at different venues.
Good.
So, yeah, fun times. And I'm on iTunes, so you can buy my music. I sing and write stuff. It's a little older now, but it's there if you like house music, progressive house, stuff like that. So.
Cool. Well, when you go and do all these DJ assignments, remember to bring your book, because if you say it and say only tonight, if you buy the book, I will sign it, and sign books get read, and you want to be read and shared, and then say, hey, look, because the houses are not that far away. I don't know how your life goes, but mine goes like that.
Yeah.
You can buy one for a gift. So buy at least 2 or 10.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And everyone needs to know. So why did you call the title Off Market? What does that mean to you?
So to me, well, I do deals off market, on market as well, but this book is called that because basically, off the record, this is what's happening. So I figured play on words and made it off market. So
So what
that's
does it mean to be off market? On market means that if the price of a house is 500,000, that's what it is. Off market means it can be negotiated by a great agent who knows how to negotiate.
no, it's basically if it's on the MLS, the multiple listing that all the agents use, or it's just kind of like a pocket listing where only a certain brokerage knows about it and they sell it direct without it being on market.
Yeah, so let me explain the pocket listing because you and I know that term, but a lot of people wouldn't. A pocket listing means the agent's got this superior house, the best house or at the best price, the best time, because somebody died, somebody just got married, somebody got divorced, whatever. There's probably infinite amount of situations that cause it. But if the agent is smart, they've already got somebody in their back pocket that wants to buy what is called a pocket listing. Is that correct?
Somewhat. And I don't want to talk about that either because we could get sued potentially.
Okay, so tell us your most fun story in real estate. How's that? We'll switch gears.
Well, I think my favorite one that wasn't as traumatic in the book is probably Mr. Hot Pants, because it's amazing what details you can remember about someone when you meet them, because when you actually have to pick them out on a police lineup, you want to remember what they look like. And so this story is funny because it was in the span of a few weeks, and this gentleman wanted to view one of my furnished rental listings, which I showed to him, and he was attempting to squat. And one of the neighbors called me and said, there's a naked man on the porch, like, what's going on? And so I had to alert the owner, like, hey, is your family member staying there? And they're like, no. And so I was like a little investigator with one of the other neighbors who saw the guy, and luckily he wasn't there, but he did leave his things, and I had to call the police, and they found a bunch of stolen items and lots of suitcases that were just placed outside of the property. And it was, it's scary because you don't know when he's coming back, what's happening, but the police handled it very well. They searched the home for me. I made sure everything was locked up. And, he came back looking for his things, and he reached out to me and gave me this weird story like I'm an idiot. And he ended up being wanted in multiple states for theft and drugs and all sorts of fun stuff, lots of credit card theft. And so it was just interesting that, people try to get away with fun stuff. It's like, what are you going to do? Live in this house? But I know squatting it's a thing, and it's really hard to get them out of your property. So luckily he didn't break in, and he was arrested, but for other stuff.
I watched a video recently on X or YouTube. I can't remember which. And the guy said the way he changed people trying to break into the house was he just changed the lock. So the squatters had to leave because they couldn't even get in the house. But let's do the other thing then. How do you make a house absurdly unacceptable to the people other than putting a whole fence around your house? That's barbed wire at the top that would electrocute them if they tried.
Right. Well, I guess you could remove, all your appliances and toilets, because that makes it, not fun.
My God, you hope they don't do something else. Anyhow, the only other thing I could think of is that to level A and B. A is that you need to have a barking dog, or at least barking dog sound.
Definitely a Ring camera helps, and just some sort of security system definitely comes in handy. But if someone wants to break in, they're going to break in. So it's just good to be prepared and have maybe cameras on property. And if there's a lot of Airbnb properties that might not be leased. And so if it looks empty, or if you have your sign out front, for sale or for rent for a very long time, sometimes they, notice these things and try to peek around if it's vacant, and they'll just, keep a lookout and make their move.
There's a great story about a guy who breaks into the house, and there's a talking parrot, and the parrot keeps saying, "Jesus is going to get you. Jesus is going to get you." And the burglar says, "I'm about to wring your neck." Said, "Jesus, come and get him." And it was a Rottweiler, and he got him.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, that was not in my book. I like that story. Is that one of your personal?
Oh yeah. So yeah, just because every one of us sees every story that exists if you live long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the clients that you are personally looking for these days? What do you want in your ideal client?
Somebody that is flexible, because if you are very adamant about certain things, you might not find it. So definitely someone who kind of knows what to expect, but if not, they will figure it out soon enough, right?
Right.
I work with all walks of life, all price points. So really, it doesn't matter. Lots of referrals that I work with. I don't, if you read the book, you'll understand why I don't really do online leads. I don't like meeting strangers at properties anymore. I
It's absurd.
It's just not safe, and I just don't feel comfortable anymore. So, but I'm open to different areas in Arizona. I'm only licensed here, and I'm fine with that. And pretty much.
What are the preferred areas that you are active in? How's that? We'll do it.
Yeah, so pretty much all of Phoenix and Scottsdale, McCormick Ranch, some in Paradise Valley, and I do condos and single family, and also land, some multifamily. So very flexible with what I can do, and yeah.
Well, seeing as you started this preface or statement with that you've got to get a referral, who knows you that will refer you? How do they get to one of your referrers then?
Yeah. I work with a lot of great vendors. So either, lender partners, friends, people from, I do a lot of networking events. So sometimes people from those events will refer, and I always say your network is your net worth. So the more people that know, and there's so many agents, so many of us. I don't know what the stat is now, but there was a few months ago, I think there was about 80,000 licensees in Maricopa County. I know it's different now. Don't quote me. And, but there's a lot of, and of course there's a lot of part-time people and full-time. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's 30,000 that are actually working and doing deals full-time. So there's a lot of choices, but you want to have fun with this person. You're purchasing something. This is one of the biggest things you're going to do in your life, and you want to make sure it's not stressful. And that's what the agent is for, to take on all that stress and make it as easy as possible.
Well, that's nice. Let the agent have the stress.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's hard for us.
So what is the average price of a home that you're selling these days?
Anywhere from 700 to 2 million is kind of the average. And condos are like 300 to $1 million on average.
I was going to ask that next. So on a 700,000, how much have they got to be earning, and they still got to put down 20 or 30%, right?
Yeah. And that's a loaded question, because I don't know what their credit score is, what's their deal. And I'm not a lender. I'm just a source of a source. But typically, oh man, I don't even want to say, because I'm going to be wrong. And I don't want to do any math on the spot. So I would say talk to your local lender. If you need someone, I can refer you 3 amazing contacts, and they can check for you what you need to do.
Good. Okay, now on a $300,000 condo, I'm assuming that it'll come back paying at somewhere around $2,500 to $3,000 a month. So that and then they're not supposed to spend over. When I grew up, it was 10% of your income, so you got to be making $30,000 a month to do that. And now it could be up to 25%. So a quarter of 30,000 would be interesting. So they got to be making $20,000 a month. So that's pretty substantial.
Not necessarily for a $300,000 home. I would say at least 10 to 15,000 a month. But
Okay.
again, it depends on what's your HOA fee, because sometimes those are anywhere from 300 to 1,500 a month. In addition, so that changes things as well as your affordability. Plus, what is the rate? Is the seller going to buy down the rate for you, or are you getting it at 6.5%, which is, I think, kind of the average right now? So many variables.
To the absolute newbie buyer out there, better explain what HOA is. I mean, that's old hat to me.
Yeah, homeowners association. So most condos, I mean, 99% of them, they have an association that basically handles all the maintenance on the exterior. Sometimes they handle roof replacement if needed. It just depends on that community. So yeah, got to be aware of what they charge, if they have any assessments, you know, so
And
many
the
things.
assessments can be everything from putting in a new roadway to putting in
Mhm.
curbs, putting in plumbing to
Landscaping, you name it. Yeah.
hardscape and softscape meaning greenery.
Yeah.
And also because we live in Arizona, I live up here in the mountain, McDowell Mountain, but you know, once a year we get HOA says, guess what? You get to pay to get rid of all that. I'm going to call it tumbleweed. I'm sure it's got a real name, but because it's all flammable, and if it flames,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in your house. So, and
Absolutely.
yep.
And sometimes when you're purchasing, I know DC Ranch has a fee that you pay in advance when you're purchasing, which I think is about 1% of your purchase price. So that's something a buyer would need to take in consideration too. So you really should get pre-qualified before you really start shopping around and dreaming of things, because
Do
you
you
just
help
don't know.
people? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to walk on you. Do you help people get pre-qualified?
No, I just give them a few contacts, and I just say whoever you feel you have the best conversation with, or you feel works well with you, do an application with them, see what works, and go from there. So,
Cool.
because this person's going to be really invasive of your finances, and you want to go with someone you trust and is going to do a good job for you.
So, what's the most fun sale you've ever made?
I think my dog is about to bark. I can feel it. Someone's coming here. So, my
Even
favorite,
said you got to have a Rottweiler at the house.
yes, absolutely. So my favorite sale was probably one of these Toll Brother properties. I do talk about it in the book. It's called Do You Like Tigers? It was probably my favorite listing just because I love the style of it. It was absolutely stunning. And it was right around the time, listed it right around the time when the mortgage rates went above 5.5, 6. And so people were kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? I literally felt like Indiana Jones rolling under the stone wall. Like we just sold it in time, because if I had it listed now, it would probably be sitting, because it's just, it was over 3 million. And but that was probably the most fun. But yeah, you have to read the chapter, Do You Like Tigers? It basically explains the house and what some of the people I met going through there. But that was probably the most fun. And the owners were great. So it was a really fun transaction.
Perfect. And I love that title. So,
Yeah.
what is your expectation? Who should be reading this book as far as you're concerned?
Pretty much anyone. You don't necessarily have to be in the real estate industry, but if you're thinking about buying, or maybe you're a seller, it is pretty much for everyone, because it even involves leasing. So there's some things that you might learn in there about things that could potentially happen. There's also an HOA story in there of something that, I didn't expect to happen, that I learned from. And I think, yeah, it could be for anyone. It's such an easy read. I don't read a ton, but it's nice to have short stories, just like the chicken soup. And it's just easy and fun read for pretty much anybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm cheering you on to get her book, which is called Off Market: The Absurdity of Real Estate. And sooner or later, all wealth is in real estate. And even if you're a renter, you need to read this. And if you go to the right networking, you will get to meet her. So,
Yeah.
and if you're in Arizona, it's almost impossible not to, because we're actually a small conclave of very interesting people, as far as I'm concerned. The people I meet at all the networking meetings, and I go to at
Right.
least 1 or 2 a week myself, usually as a speaker. Any
Yeah.
last words you'd like to say?
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope people read it and learn something. And that's pretty much it. It's been a great experience working with you guys, and it was a fun project. I'm glad it's over because I think I read it 6 times to make sure it was all good. So
Most people don't get that you get to do multiple reads of your own book.
so many reads. I'm like, I'm sick of this story. I don't want to relive it, but I'm glad I did it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And thank you so much.
Bless your heart. Thanks for being on today, everybody. Take a look at her book and get a copy for yourself, if you would, please. Thank you, Yvonne. Great being with you.
Thank you. Bye.